Welcome back to Unbound Faith, ready for another journey into the Scriptures.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see where the text takes us today.
This week, we're turning to Genesis chapter 7.
The flood.
Such a powerful and honestly unsettling story, even for those of us who've read it countless times.
It really does get under your skin, doesn't it?
It does. And it starts with this sweeping decree from God, doesn't it? All life on earth, gone.
It's a very stark beginning.
Why do you think this story, with its raw emotion and drama, has resonated so powerfully for so long and across such diverse cultures?
Well, I think it speaks to something very primal, that fear, maybe even an inherent understanding of the word's fragility. Cultures all around the world have these flood myths, these anxieties about powers beyond our control. And Genesis really taps into that collective memory, that shared human experience of vulnerability.
We're all kind of in the same boat.
Exactly. And yet within that vastness, we get these incredibly specific instructions to Noah. Take 7 pairs of the clean animals, 2 of the unclean. It's so easy to just kind of read past those details, but what do you make of them? Especially that distinction, clean versus unclean.
It is interesting, isn't it? Why do you think that's there?
Well, I think it's a glimpse into the cultural and religious landscape of that time. Remember, this idea of ritual purity, of clean versus unclean, wove its way through so much of ancient Israelite life, what they ate, how they offered sacrifices, even how they interacted with each other. Including it here suggests a sense of continuity, that these ideas weren't new, but perhaps rooted even in a pre-flood world.
It's like these echoes of ancient practices are woven right into the fabric of the story.
Exactly.
And speaking of echoes, we can't ignore the recurring motif of the number 7. 7 days waiting, 7 pairs of those clean animals, the rain for 40 days and nights, another multiple of 7. This can't just be a coincidence, right? What's the significance there?
Absolutely not. Numbers in Scripture, they're rarely just random. Think of it like this. 7, it's often associated with completeness, with divine perfection. And here it really emphasizes the idea that this flood wasn't some random, chaotic event, but a deliberate, divinely orchestrated act.
It's very calculated, isn't it?
Very much so.
And amidst all of this, we have Noah. Can you imagine the sheer weight he must have felt during those 7 days, building the ark, gathering all those animals, the scale of it? Even with God's instructions, it's hard to fathom the emotional toll it must have taken.
It really is. And there's such profound obedience in Noah's actions, wouldn't you say? This acknowledgement of a higher purpose, even while facing something unimaginable. It speaks volumes about the kind of faith it must take to weather such a storm, both literally and figuratively.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
To just have that trust in something that's so much bigger than yourself. And then there's the flood itself, this all-encompassing, world-altering event. It's been interpreted in so many ways over the centuries, a display of nature's raw power, the inevitable consequence of disobedience, or a hopeful symbol of a brand new beginning. What resonates most deeply with you?
Well, I'm always drawn back to that idea of renewal. Yes, it's a story about destruction, but it's also very much about what emerges afterward. That image of the dove returning with the olive branch, that symbol of peace, of a fresh start for humanity. It reminds us that even after the most devastating loss, there's still potential for rebirth, for hope to blossom again.
Like those little flowers that you see popping up after a forest fire.
Exactly like that. It's a powerful reminder.
It really is. It's interesting, too, that we're given such a specific timeline in this story. The text tells us the flood began on the 17th day of the 2nd month in the 600th year of Noah's life. Why this level of detail in a story that's filled with such profound symbolism?
That's a good question. It could be a way of grounding the narrative, don't you think? A way to root this story that operates on such a grand, almost mythical level in a concrete historical context. Or perhaps it's a subtle reminder that even amidst chaos and destruction, even when it seems like the world's ending, time still marches on. Every moment holds the potential for new beginnings.
So much to think about.
It really is.
As we reflect on Genesis 7 this week, we invite you to consider that delicate balance, that tension between destruction and rebirth. Where do you see those forces at work in your own life, in the world around you? Let the story of the flood and its aftermath be a source of reflection, maybe even a source of hope and inspiration for you this week. Until next time, may peace be with you. This is Unbound Faith.